Good afternoon. Let's try a microphone. Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. How's everybody doing today? It's great to have you all with us. We got some music playing. Welcome to everybody watching on Facebook. If we did get live on Facebook, they seem to have a life of their own these days. YouTube, Twitter, anywhere you're catching this show, whether it's live or repeated. We'll be repeating on the McGrath Podcasting Network. All of the shows you'll see repeated at different times on the McGrath Podcast Network on YouTube. We want to thank the groups that you see scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and also all the groups that allow us to share our content, specifically John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball, Flo and Can over there at Bottom Line Sports. Always want to give them a shout out, as well as our fellow podcast network, Let's Talk Sports. Tanner D doing a great job carrying on for Dan Harris over there, the late great Dan Harris. Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. And a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland, Pittsburgh Focus, National Footprint. We've had a guest there several times, and we always enjoy our stops there. Good afternoon, Rick Sherlock. How are you? It's the off. Well, we're still in the off season. Baseball has started, obviously, from a spring training standpoint. We do have exhibition games starting the last couple of days. The Yankees, in fact, are playing today. I don't always put the most stock in exhibition games, but in spring training is important. Garrett Cole, for instance, hit 97 on the radar gun. That's good, just as long as the arm stays on and attached for the Yankees. We're happy about that. I don't see my notes, so I guess we're going to wing it here, because apparently I left my notes upstairs or somewhere else. I've been not seeing them surrounding me anywhere. So we'll swing it here. We'll make it work. I know I wanted to talk about Tony Clark. Baseball is in one of the most important labor negotiation windows in its history. And we know that, labor negotiations with the MLB and the Players Association has always been spotty. We've had more than one strike and wiped out at so far one World Series. And this is maybe the most important, with the salary cap issues and everything else that's going to come down. With all that going on, Tony Clark, who along with the MLBPA was being investigated by the feds about where some of this revenue was going. MLB, the Players Association, decided to do their own internal audit, if you will, an investigation. And in the course of that, turned up a bunch of emails exposing an inappropriate relationship Tony Clark was having with his sister-in-law. Yes, his brother's wife. So he steps down, not for the reasons we thought he might step down, which was something going on inappropriate in a financial or legal sense. We don't know about that. That investigation's ongoing. But he steps down over this inappropriate relationship with his wife, which Mad Dog Russo, Chris Russo, from Sirius Radio and formerly of WFAN, you'll remember from Mike and the Mad Dog, doesn't seem to think that this is a big deal. I saw him the other day on ESPN, and it just cracked me up that he was, putting this aside, saying it was, why is it inappropriate? Because it happens all the time. I don't get it. Anyway, that's what's going on off the field. On the field, some big news. Pablo Lopez for the Twins will miss at least the first month. I'm sorry, he's going to miss the entire season, it looks like, with an injury that he has. I'm trying to remember my notes. We had somebody going to be out a month. Damn. It sucks when I don't have my notes in front of me, right? Should be here somewhere. Javier Baez was suspended by the WBC for marijuana use, by the way. He will not be playing. Who the heck did I read that? Oh, boy. Isn't that terrible? Well, it'll probably come to me during the course of this. But somebody of some note will miss at least the first month. We know the Yankees have issues, right? We're not expecting the aforementioned Garrett Cole to pitch early in the season. We're not expecting Carlos Rondon to pitch early in the season. We're not expecting Volpe to play early in the season. So we'll see how that works out for them. Pat Murphy for the Brewers, who's done an exceptional job, won back-to-back Manager of the Year awards, and he is awarded, on top of that, a 3-year extension for his very good work. He replaced Craig Counsell in 2023. I don't believe the terms of this were necessarily announced, but he does have 3 added years. So now he's through at least 2028, possibly further, as there's a club option for 2029. So congratulations to Pat Murphy. Done a great job there. Might have a tough time this year. I'm not so sure this isn't going to be a tough year for the Brewers. So some interesting moves or non-moves by them this offseason. Some of the other things I wanted to chat about a little bit today, and you guys, of course, as always, are it is anticipated that you will put your thoughts and what you think about teams going into the season. If you're happy about your team, not happy about your team, we'll talk about that. MLB the Athletic talked to some people within the game of baseball, right? Former executives, managers, coaches, to talk about teams that might be feeling a little bit of heat. So there were different categories that were brought up here. Teams as a core, individual players, managers, and the like. And some of the teams that were under the most pressure, teams, front offices, managers under the most pressure, the Mets, Padres led the way as far as teams under pressure this year, followed by the Astros, the Orioles, the Angels. Oh. Kurt Suzuki is going to come up on this list as well, because how do you hire a guy on a 1-year contract, his first time out of the gate, with a horrible baseball team? Kurt Suzuki should never have taken this. He wants a shot, obviously. But the Pirates and Yankees make this list. The Phillies make this list. As do the Twins, the Giants, Red Sox, etc. Managers that were specifically mentioned within this poll, Kurt Suzuki, as I mentioned. Again, what a tough – I can't think of a tougher spot a manager's been in his first season when he gets a 1-year deal and not a good baseball team. It wouldn't be shocking if Kurt Suzuki's not managing the Angels next year. Coming in behind him was Carlos Mendoza with the Mets. A lot of moves by the Mets in the offseason. Some of them kind of head-scratching, like Polanco to play first base when he's never played an inning there. You've got other guys who are really good ball players, like Bo Bichette, who I think is a great signing, but going to have to learn a new position at third base, and I think he's capable of that. You're counting on bounce-back seasons from guys like Marcus Semien. You got some questions, and you may very well have a rookie playing in right field now with Soto getting moved to left. So Mendoza's got some pressure on him. Rob Thompson with the Phillies, Aaron Boone with the Yankees, always. Look, it's just not good enough. You know, I go through this for Jack Hirsch all the time. It's not good enough as a Yankee fan to be, in the playoffs as a wild card year after year and win a division here and there. You need to win some world championships. Aaron Boone has not won. They made it to one World Series and were demolished by the Dodgers, pretty much. And I understand I'm guilty of being spoiled, but one world championship since 2003. I'm sorry. Yes, 2003, 2001. One world championship. They've been in a World Series a couple of times other than that. Not good enough. Oliver Marmol comes up on this list with the Cardinals. They're in a full rebuild. I was a little surprised they didn't fire him in the offseason, quite frankly. And Tony Vitello with the Giants comes up on this. I like some of the things they've done in the offseason, and I like the hiring of Tony Vitello, thinking a little bit outside the box. Some baseball traditionalists are unhappy, guys who think they invented the game, like Madden, Joe Madden. Tony Vitello hasn't paid any dues, as a coach or as a minor league manager or whatever. But he's been a very good Division I baseball coach for a long time at Tennessee, and he's got a proven track record, proven system. So why not make it work, or see if he can make it work? Hire some guys, to help hold his hand, if you will, and I'm sure they have, and give him a shot. We see this everywhere else in sports, football, basketball. Why not Major League Baseball? Who's here? Isaiah, good afternoon. Really in time to catch a live. Hope all is well. Good to have you with us. Hashtag Dan Harris, the late great Dan Harris. I'm glad you're with us live today, Isaiah. You can come to TGI Sports Talk and catch them anytime. These shows they'll also repeat, not live, but they'll repeat on the McGrath Podcast Network on Saturdays at 9 a.m. right after the debate show. At least for now, those repeats will be moving around. But it's good to have you with us live today, Isaiah. Don't feel free to add any comments you want. If you got who's your team, by the way, in Major League Baseball, Isaiah? I'd like to know who we're talking about and whether they're part of the conversation today, which you can make them part. So those are some of the managers specifically mentioned in this poll. Rosters, players, let's say, core groups under pressure. The Phillies lead the way. So you got the Philly front office, Rob Thompson, and the Phillies players all under the gun here. And Yankees come in second, but well behind the Phillies. And it's time to get things going for both of these teams. I love Rob Thompson, but through heaven and hell, I agree with you. Listen, I've been ride or die with the Yankees since I'm, 9 years old, 8 years old, 1968. And it wasn't easy being a Yankee fan then. They were not any good most of those years until 1976. So, you learn about the history of your team and you understand why what Aaron Boone has done has not been enough. I have a problem with the way he doesn't hold guys accountable and whatnot. So he needs to be under pressure. Other teams, again, with core groups under pressure, Padres, of course. It's time for Manny Machado and Tatis to win something in San Diego. The Braves looking to bounce back with a new manager this year, Walt Weiss. Really thought Mark DeRosa was getting that job, quite frankly, but Walt Weiss has some, I think it's Walt Weiss. Am I right or wrong? Now I feel like I'm saying something wrong. Hold on one second. Let me double check my, Walt Weiss. Walt Weiss, who had a run with Colorado and, again, fared about as well as everybody in Colorado fares. Going to be a tough, I don't know if it's going to be a tough year. The Braves have a good team. Acuna, healthy for an entire season, will certainly help them. I like what the Braves have done, the little bit that they've done in this offseason. Let me just take a quick look at their am I really going to go there? We know ESPN's going to have crappy depth charts, right? I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the changes the Braves have made. We talk a lot about the Yankees and Isaiah and others. I'm glad to talk about the Yankees or other teams, of course. Who we got here? Oh, we got a couple. There's the Mad New Yorkers with us today. The Yankees don't do enough. I don't know if that's a question. I don't know if that's an exclamation point or a question, Carlos, but no, the Yankees don't do enough. Sorry. Winning trophies is what matters. And here we are running it back again. It's funny. It's kind of first world problems with the Yankees, right? Hard times are not the same for the Yankees as they are for the Colorado Rockies. Hard times is not winning world championships in 16 years, 17 years this year. That's a hard time. I'm sorry. That's not good enough. So, Carlos, again, I'm not really sure whether that was a comment, a question, or what, but Shout out to Judge for letting it be known and not being a yes man at the presser. He's fighting for his baseball life and legacy as his prime winds down. It would be a shame to waste Aaron Judge's career. And again, he's not a young guy. He got started late without a world championship. He's had his one chance, but again, it is not Aaron Judge's fault they lost that. That team was flawed. This team is still flawed. We're running it back with the same team we had last year, except for Weathers from in that pitching staff. You will have hopefully a healthy heel. We hope for improvement from Volpe, but can you count on the same performance from Grisham that you got last year for $23 million? I don't think so. Just me. It's a great question, Rick. And again, I'm not a guy who wants to fire for the sake of firing. So it's a fair question because you've got to have somebody in mind. I want Donnie baseball, but Donnie's now with Rob Thompson, who, by the way, is a guy I wanted all along. Rob Thompson didn't even get a sniff of an interview when Joe Girardi got fired and Aaron Boone got the job back in, gosh, what is it now? 2018. Rob Thompson's a guy I'd want, but he's got a job. Donnie Mattingly I'd want, but he's got a job now as a bench coach of the Phillies. There's two guys I can think of off the top of my head. Find a way to get it done. David Ross is another name that comes to mind, by the way. Got screwed over by the Cubs. Mark DeRosa, another good baseball man, deserves a shot somewhere. Is Paul Goldschmidt even worth the money for the season? Again, they're not paying Goldschmidt a lot, but I'd say no. I mean, I was shocked when he signed here a couple of weeks ago because for all intents and purposes, Goldschmidt said he was retired. I read an article in the Post the other day how he's knocking the cover off the baseball and hit a long home run. It's spring training. I like Goldschmidt. He's a good guy to have on the team. He's a good right-handed bat. Still can hit lefties a little bit. Late inning defensive replacement. A really good defensive player. But his best days are behind him. So, good man. Good clubhouse man. Not going to produce a whole lot, I don't think. Hello, JB. Alonso hits a homer in his first spring training game. Nice. Westbrook. That's the guy I was trying to think of. Thank you, JB. I was having trouble because my notes didn't make it to the studio with me. They remained apparently next to my chair upstairs where I was watching the Canadians pull out a game against Finland. They trailed 2-0, by the way, which reminds me, I need to be putting on the hockey here, don't I? So Westbrook, and it's a UCL issue, no surgery, but I heard he's out till at least May, JB. You might have more information than I have from the Baltimore area there, but not good. They missed Westbrook last year with injuries, and looks like we got a little fight, but the USA's up 1-0 over. They scored in the first 35 seconds of the game, it appears. And now we got a little tussle going on. Interesting. Hard to tell who's who here. We got a lot of red, white, and blue going on between these two teams. So anyway. The actual players have not done enough. I mean, how much more can Judge do? Grisham overperformed last year. You're not going to get that. I don't think you're getting that. You got guys hurt. Again, the players they bring in here can only do so much. I do not think Brian Cashman has done a great job of putting this roster together, and I have not thought that for a long time. When I get on Aaron Boone, that carries over to Brian Cashman. He needs to go. And I've said for a long time, Aaron Boone is just his lackey anyway. Fair. You don't think you're getting enough out of Judge? I mean, who's got the big contracts that's not performing? You're going to see Grisham not perform to $23 million worth. And again, worth it? There's a difference between worth and earning. Carlos is talking about guys not earning their money. Not a lot. Listen, the guys I've talked about forever. Carlos Rendon, goodbye. Big contract, goodbye. I think Fried, Judge, they all earned their money last year. But it's not a good. You're only going to get so much out of guys with limited, or I shouldn't say limited, but they have weaknesses in their game. Judge has no weakness in his game. He's a great player. Grisham, you saw the best you're going to get out of him, and he's overrated defensively. Bellinger certainly played up to his contract last year. To me, it's the way we're letting them play the game. The numbers don't look bad. You look at the numbers on paper for the most part. We go back to Goldschmidt. I mean, they paid him $14 million last year. To you and me, that's life-altering money. Not in Major League Baseball. That's not a lot of money, and he probably played to about $10 million. To me, I'm not letting the players, I'm not putting this all on the players. We haven't put together the type of team that's going to win baseball games. They don't play good fundamental baseball too many times. That's not a living up to your contract. Well, I guess it is. But again, there's nobody holding them accountable. I want Boone to start holding guys accountable. And if it means calling guys, which I'm not a big fan of calling guys out in the press, but maybe that's what some of these guys need for years. We like Gleyber Torres. He's not here anymore, and I keep picking on him. But again, and Jazz Chisholm, great athlete, great talent. The numbers are good, but too many mental errors. I'm not letting Boone and Cashman off the hook here. The players, I think have played up to their capabilities or above them in a lot of cases. Ryan McMahon is a great defensive third baseman. He's not going to hit a lot. He'll hit some righties. So, Volpe is a guy who needs to step up and stop wilting in under pressure. Got to show me he can play here in New York. This is make or break season for Anthony Volpe. He needs to get healthy, number one, and he needs to perform, number two. And I don't need him hitting 25 home runs, hitting 320. He can hit 270, drive in 75 runs, and make all the plays on defense. That's too funny. Just make the plays. That's all I want. Too many outs given away. Hello, Ralph Williams. Good to have you with it. I mentioned Ralph at the top, RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff, including the Sports Corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoke and Jim Frazier. Check Ralph out. Ralph, if you got a little promo you want to put a little something in the comments, I'll be happy to promote any other shows where people can go to watch and whatnot. Boo-hoo. My O's haven't won the World Series. Yeah, again, I know I get to be boo-hoos. I'm spoiled. If you weren't here, JB, I think you've heard me enough. I admit I'm spoiled. As a Yankee fan, it's not good enough. Shouldn't be good enough as an Oriole fan either, by the way. If you're a Rocky fan, that's one thing. You haven't won since Reagan was in the White House, 1983. He had a good run from, 66 to 83. He had a pretty good run. Probably should have won more World Series than they won, but I expect more, right? I expect a 28th World Championship, right? Nothing less. Yeah. There's a guy. I'm not going to argue with that one, Carlos, because I wanted him gone forever. I argue with Jack Hirsch all the time. This isn't monopoly money. Well, it is to them. You think Stanton's contract is worth him playing, 120 games and producing in 60 of those? When he's hot, he's great. When he's not, he drags a team down. And look, men left on base. Look him up. You'll see a picture of Giancarlo Stanton. So yes, I will not argue that one either. The best ability is availability. Not enough of it from Giancarlo, and then too many times where he just disappears for weeks at a time. Another home run for Pete. Going to be a big year in Baltimore this year, JB. Isaiah, speaking it. Yankees in 2024 had a revenue of $728 million. Can't afford to eat Stanton's contract, right? Mm-hmm. Payroll 362. No other major market team left that large a gap. Dodgers made 752. Great numbers here, by the way, and invested 759. The Yanks are spending, but they are making amongst the highest. They can absolutely do more. Hang out one more time. Yanks are spending, but they are making amongst the highest. They can absolutely do more. I got you. It's what you do with the money, too. And listen, I've talked about it here recently, and JB brought it up. Let me put the banner up here I didn't put up earlier. People know what they're watching, I guess. I don't know. If you don't know what you're watching. JB and I have talked about this a couple of weeks, or I've talked with you guys about it. And, I'm not a salary cap guy. I spend the money. If you don't have money to spend, then you're not going to keep up. Then you might go out of business. Sorry. There's too many teams in all the sports. And all the sports are talking about expanding. The NBA is talking about expanding. Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred continues to bring up the expansion word all the time. Contraction is where you want to go. There aren't enough pitchers to go around now. And it's how you spend money. The Yankees do it. That's a lot of money to spend. And by the way, to Carlos's point, I can afford to eat Stanton's contract and move on. He's a liability. You lock up the DH spot because he's a liability when you put him in the field. He's not a good fielder, and he also gets hurt whenever he plays in the outfield. So, some good stuff there, Isaiah. Volpe coming back. Listen, injuries are not an excuse. If you're out there playing, you need to perform. And I'm not giving him a pass because, he had an injured shoulder last year, and it doesn't account for some of the simple errors that he made during the course of the year, or the fact that he hit about 100 the last 2 months. I don't mind guys getting hyped up and pay. I'll pay anybody anything. I don't care if if management thinks you're worth it, I'm going to give you the money, but you've got to earn it. Volpe has not earned it. Volpe hasn't earned even, some of the, he may not even earn keeping this job without a challenge. Lombard's not ready, I don't think. This year, maybe midseason, if Volpe's struggling, you might see some of Lombard. But it's time for Volpe to put up or shut up. This is a make or break year for him. What do we see the Mariners this year? Hello, Robert. Good to have you with us. I was just going to look at somebody one night and I didn't do it. Let me go to and Robert, from watching the Wednesday professional sports show that I like Seattle. I love their pitching staff. Always have. Let me see if I can pull up their I want to see the changes that they've had, by the way. But I love the pitching staff there. I think it's second probably to the Dodgers. I said it was better than the Dodgers in the playoffs last year, and it kind of showed in the playoffs that I was wrong. But this is a good baseball team. I think they repeat in the West. Again, I'll do the full we'll do a full preview before the season starts, but it's way too early here on February 20th to make any predictions about the season. But listen, with Gilbert, Wu, Kirby, Castillo, and Bryce Miller, that's as good a starting five as you're going to find in the American League. And almost in baseball. I'll give the Dodgers the benefit of the doubt. Cal Raleigh, I can't expect to repeat what he did last year, but he's a really good defensive player, and I would expect him to have a solid offensive season with a bit of a backing up from what he did his this historic season he had last year. Still a solid player. Re-signing Josh Naylor, I think, was probably the biggest move that they made in the offseason and the most important one. Brendan Donovan, I think, is a solid guy who can play around the infield and the outfield. I think he's going to be a contributor on this team. What else did they do? Who else did they bring in here? I like J.P. Crawford a bit. I like his defense. I think his bat could be a little bit better. Randy Rosarina, Rodriguez, and whoever's going to play right field. I'd probably some combination of Rayleigh and Robele, however we say his name. I think is a pretty good outfield. Rob Rushsnyder's been around a while, but he's a decent bench player, I think. I worry a little bit about the depth of this team, Robert, but I think it's a really good baseball team because you still win with pitching and defense. Josh Naylor was basically a free agent signing for them because he could have gone anywhere. They locked him up quickly and probably smart not letting him hit the market and making it a bidding war. I would love to have seen the Yankees bring him in, quite frankly, and make Bird the everyday catcher. Salary floor. This is what I've talked about forever. You need a salary floor more than you need a salary cap. If you can't spend money, don't buy Major League Baseball teams. JB's talked about it. Teams need to go out of business and let the market. I'm a free market kind of guy, and I made a couple comments that JB got me on the right path because I needed some guardrails in the conversation I was having. He was my guardrails that day. You know, the market will drive salaries up or down. So if we just let things take place naturally, teams aren't too big to fail, right? This isn't GM. This isn't, Morgan Stanley. Nobody's too big to fail. Let them fall back. Let them go out of business. If the Rays and the Rockies can't compete, sayonara. Guess what? Less jobs in the Players Union is not going to like this conversation, right? But less jobs mean prices come down. It'd be nice to have contracts with pay-as-you-go. Yeah, listen, I don't disagree. Performance, I think, listen, I worked my entire life in jobs that I had little or zero base. I got paid based on my performance and when I was managing people, their performance. And I don't think there should be anything wrong with that. If you perform well, you get paid. If you don't, well, you don't get paid as much. But we've gotten away from a lot of these incentive-laden contracts, and I think you should be able to do it. I mean, if you have confidence in your own abilities. So I've never been a big fan of unions, by the way. Unions protect the weak in my mind. There was a time and place you needed unions, right? So guys didn't have to work 90 hours a week, 100 hours a week, got paid a fair minimum salary, let's say, whatever you want to talk about. But you don't need them now. Again, the market will drive what you'll determine what you can earn in most jobs in the world. And unions protect people that are weak, right? That's my mind, you know. I mean, if I was a government worker who went out and busted my chops day after day after day, going above and beyond, which very few do, but there are some, and I'm watching a guy sitting next to me just, he's been here forever and he's grandfathered in and you can't fire him because he hasn't taken a shot at a governor or higher official, which is about the only way you get fired from some government jobs. The union protects those guys while I'm out here doing the work. I would never have any of that. Everyone, if I'd done that, I'd have a nice pension. I wouldn't just be paying myself. I wouldn't have had to save my money. Well, you still need to save your money, but it'd be nice to have a pension to fall back on. Yeah, I have a pension. It's my own retirement fund. Everyone complains and says your owners should spend more, but they keep coming back. Send a message. Have some empty seats for a month. That's fair. If a bakery makes bad cake, how many more do you keep buying? One. My pizza place, right? My pizza place makes great pizza. I don't go back if they make one bad pizza. But if I get 2 in a row, I'm probably not going back. I'm going to try someplace else. It's a great point, but people continue to go. With the rising, escalating prices there, too. The fans pay everywhere. You don't just have to go to the stadium. The cost, I don't even care if you watch ball games. People tell me, I only watch games that are on the networks. Well, if you have cable, you're streaming, or you're doing whatever, you're footing the bill for bad money spent by these owners. It all comes into play. I'm not sure yet, Carlos. I'm not ready to make a prediction right now. That American League East is going to be very tough. And as far as I'm concerned, the Yankees had the worst season outside of the Rays, worst off season outside of the Rays. I may pick the Yankees not to make the playoffs. I don't know yet. I've got to dig in a little bit more, and we'll have a show in the middle of March. I'm not going to predict on February 20th where the Yankees or the Mets will finish. I think the Mets are going to be a very interesting team because I think they got a very high ceiling, but also a deep floor. This team could just be absolutely horrendous, or it could be really, really good. But they're relying on a lot of ifs on that side of the river. I think that's a great piece that Seattle added. He's a fine player, can play almost every position on the field outside of catcher and pitcher, basically. I think Seattle did a good job there, and they've got the best pitching staff, and pitching still wins. Pitching and defense still wins. And timely hitting. You got to hit a little bit, right? You can't hit 220. But I think they did a good job in Seattle. Their moving forward will be determined in mid-season trades. Both teams are now about 33 years average age, and that needs to go down. It doesn't if they play well. And you got to remember, mid-season trades are not. We don't see as much movement in mid-season as we had seen in the past. Guys will hold on to team players so that they can get extra draft picks if they offer them the qualifying offer, right? So we don't see as many big trades as we used to. We still see plenty, but we don't see the type of trades I think we'd seen in the past. And I can't listen. If you're in New York or the Mets or the Yankees, you're always going to pay more. Because teams are going to hold you hostage. Players are going to hold you hostage. Everybody holds you hostage. I don't think either. The Mets, I think right now, if you held a gun to my head at this moment, I would say the Mets have a better chance of winning a wild card than the Yankees. And the Yankees their pitching may have to carry them. If Cole gets healthy, and he's a Cole that we remember, or close to it, he is 35 years old, 34. If he's close to the Cole we remember, that would be a good thing. If Cam Sheetler is what we saw last year, he's got some injury bug right now this spring, we'll be fine. If Heel can approach what we saw 2 years ago, mid-season, before he got hurt, and Max Fried is Max Fried. Max Fried's a good pitcher. The pitching can carry this team a ways. The defense needs to be good. Okay? Volpe's got to play good defense. Jazz Chisholm has got to just play him at second base. Let's not move him around the field. I think I can live with the bat of McMahon and the right-hand side of that platoon, whose name's Rosario. I think I can live with that offense because I'm going to get enough offense everywhere else. Bellinger needs to be solid like he was last year. Judge needs to be Judge, stay healthy. And Jason Dominguez needs to continue to improve because I'm not a big believer in Grisham. I'm not sure how that's relevant to what I'm talking about, Carlos. Their expansion teams, yeah, we can also contract them as well. If they can't make money, and if they don't have money to spend on quality players, then leave. And the Rays have found a way to get it done for the last couple of years. Listen, stop adding teams and diluting talent more and more. And so the really good guys, and by the way, adding teams only going to drive the cost of players up even further. No more Bobby Bonilla BS. You know, Bobby's not the only guy getting paid. It's a big deal because we have Bobby Bonilla Day that the Mets celebrate every year, right? Where he gets paid his $2 million or whatever it is. I think that goes to like 2036. Somebody can probably catch me on that. But there's a lot of guys. You're seeing more of it. I mean, look at Soto. Soto's, how much of his money is being deferred every year? I don't want to see that. Pay him yearly. Maybe that's what needs to go away. I don't need a salary cap, but maybe, Robert, you're onto something, right? Forget the salary cap. No, because teams are just going to find a way around it anyway if you let them defer salaries. If you want to pay him $75 million, well, then pay him this year. No more deferments. You can spend $600 million if you want this year. Just a second. Oh, even the Rockies generated, where'd that money go? It goes in their pocket, right? They generate $318 million with $142 million payroll. You know, winning does equal more revenue, 100%. Golden State Warriors skyrocketed and started competing with the Lakers in terms of value during that dynasty. Great point. Not a huge market. The Oakland-San Francisco market, not huge, by the way. It's not like LA or New York or Philadelphia. In fact, I think they play in Oakland. I think they play in Oakland now all the time. It's not a big market. But they found out you win, you spend, you win, you make money because you sell more wearables, right? More people in the seats, more TV revenue, local revenue. Yankees and Dodgers make out huge because they keep all that local TV money because they're win and they're good. And when you win, you can charge more for that type of thing. Isaiah's got a great point here. Again, jerseys and hats and everything else you sell more of when you win. This isn't, again, I'm not to belittle your comment at all, Isaiah, because it's dead on. But it's not rocket science. Winning equals money. Not hard to figure out. Hello, Jeremy. How are you, my friend? Tigers better learn this too, or the Tigers will be hurting. Rays have an average of one of the lowest attendances in the year. But then move. You know, and there's the other thing. And I don't have a problem with teams moving like a lot of other people do. If you're one of the top drawing teams and you were to move your teams, that's BS. But if fans don't support you, I talked about this in Oakland forever. Don't cry me a river that the A's are gone from Oakland when the fans have never supported that team, even when they win. I mean, here and there they have spikes. They were winning in the 70s. They still, during the regular season, they're drawing 7,000, 8,000 some nights. The A's were lucky the A's fans were lucky they stayed there as long as they did. Rays fans don't deserve a team if they. And I know the stadium is awful. I get it. It's an awful stadium, and they deserve better. But you're not going to get something better if you just stay home and sit on your hands. To Jeremy's point. Did I make the President's Club? You're lucky I was not the CFO of that company. As a Yanks Pats fan, your expense reports would have been scrutinized. Oh my God, it's funny. I kept my team affiliations to myself. My last, the company that I worked for the last 25 years before I retired was owned since about 2004 by a Canadian company. So I learned to talk hockey with those guys. Speaking of hockey, the USA still up 1-0 with 57 seconds left in the first period. Yet in 2024, the A's generated $297 million despite being indeed unsupported. They deserve bigger fan base, but they still only spent $100 million. They never spend. Again, it's the floor. So these teams cry poverty. This is hilarious, right? So these teams cry poverty all the time. They won't open the books up, and we're gonna have a lockout next spring, and who knows? I mean, or maybe we won't. Maybe they'll force the players' hand and make them strike because, again, public perception is going to mean a lot in this fight of billionaires against more than multimillionaires. But they cry poverty. But again, where did this money go? So they generated $297 million. Do they need to put $197 million in their pocket? Do the Rockies need to put away whatever the number was for them? $200 million. Yeah, we're here to make money. I get it. But reinvesting that money will make you more successful. This isn't, I'm not the smartest guy on the street. Thank God Isaiah's here to help me out. What are you doing, Jeremy? Good to have you with us from both sides, Jeremy. Unfortunately, I'm trying to read between the lines here. I know I have trouble, Isaiah. I'm usually pretty good at this. Set them back a bit. I'm trying to figure out what you can't say here. I wouldn't be afraid to say it. Believe me, I say lots of things that get me in lots of trouble here. I don't know why I'm obtuse on this right now. Maybe it'll come to me. And when you say it, I'll probably go, oh, of course. I'm trying to figure that out. Austin P made made top 10 plays this morning with a game-winning shot. Listen, Austin P's got a shot. We'll talk about it on the college basketball or the college sports huddle, but Austin P's got a shot at being the NCAAs. Maybe they'll get Dick Vitale to stand on his head 40 or 50 years later. 40 years later. Jeremy's back. Baseball takes a backseat to men's Olympic hockey right now. I agree 100%. I've got the game on, but we have a contractual obligation to do this show at 3 o'clock. Did they just score again? No, 1-0. Hang on one second. I was trying to see. My bad. So if they make it a hard cap in baseball, should they raise it? Absolutely. First of all, I don't want to cap at all. Probably not going to get baseball without one. But they should absolutely raise the floor. If you don't have the money, get out of the game. If you don't want to compete, get out of the game. Isaiah just gave you some great numbers. If you look back in the comments, Jeremy, about all these teams who are bottom dwellers. Well, the Rays have competed more often than not in the last dozen years, but not the last couple. But the Rockies are making $200+ million a year. They're clearing, but won't spend any of that. Play today for Austin PU. Carl's a proud alumni. What are you in baseball, by the way? Isaiah really did feel the Dodgers will sell the team in 10 years and let another owner pay all of that money they deferred. That's a great point. I mean, I got to believe it. Well, the value of this team is, through the roof. It's like $10 billion, right? Or more than that. Far more than the contracts that they owe. But again, that's got to come out of somebody's pocket at some point. But I think Robert was onto something. Do away with deferred contracts, no salary cap. Spend what you can. Spend it now. And some teams will go all in every 5 years. Works, it works. It doesn't, we start over in 5 years, I'll be back. Or they go away. I'm okay with that too. Sell a team to somebody with deeper pockets. I mean, JB and I, or JB commented on this show, so we weren't having a private conversation or anything. That in a free market system, you either make it or you break it. And if you don't make it, you should go out of business, like any business. Not Major League Baseball keeping you alive, like they did with the Expos. Almost had to do with the Twins, if you remember, back when we last talked contraction. But these teams are making money, so they're not going out of business. So now you got to force them to spend money, which I don't know if you can do either. Right? Again, free market. If you want to have a shitty team, excuse my French, that's your right. Crap all over your fans. They do not. To my knowledge, Jeremy, there is no shared. Well, the only thing shared revenue-wise is the luxury tax. That's where the shared revenue comes from now. We did have some form of revenue sharing a time back, but small market teams had to get paid. And George Steinbrenner had the best line ever. Why should I have to supplement the Royals? If I wanted to buy the Royals, I'd have bought the Royals. I bought the New York Yankees. So I don't think there's ticket revenue sharing the way that they do in the NFL. Somebody can correct me on that. The Rays moved to another city. Will that team get support? Again, Carlos, if they spend money and are competitive, they will. They should if they go to the right city. There's cities dying for baseball. Hell, Montreal, where it failed, if you gave them a good stadium, I think they would go. Montreal, I think, is going to get another go in Major League Baseball at some point with relocation. Charlotte, that area has grown faster than any place in the freaking country. They're dying for baseball in Charlotte. Nashville. Colorado. I'm just kidding. They're dying for baseball there, too. We only got about 6 minutes left, so let me get through these comments because I promised Brian we'd keep this show an hour. All my shows an hour. We'll do the best that we can. Tigers are 9th in salary this year. You're going to jump up whenever you got to pay. This year, so they're paying him what, $36 million? Is that what his arbitration number was? The record amount. They're going to have to ante up for him or move him pretty quick. I think the Rays in Vegas instead of the A's would have been interesting. I think the A's are making some headway. There's some good ball players there. Pitching staff stinks. It's still not going to be a very good team, don't get me wrong, but there are some interesting players there to watch. But I definitely think they'd get decent support elsewhere. I agree. Spending more would help them. Again, it's about you spend money to make money. This is not a new thing. We just thought up here in the last 45 minutes. Tigers make bonehead moves, and he totally messed up their relationship with Scooble 100%. I mean, they've already put themselves between a rock and a hard place. So, who's his agent, by the way? Do you know that, Jeremy? In his last 4 minutes. Based on Isaiah's numbers, $318 million in revenue, $142 million in expenses, the owners of the Rockies already won. No incentive. That's a great point. But again, I can't say kudos to the Rockies because sports is not like the real world. The bottom line is still winning. I mean, again, if you're in the game just to make money, God bless you. Then you're going to lose, and eventually you will lose out. Because how are you going to keep that $318 million in revenue if you don't ever try to win? I mean, I think this is just my opinion, and this would apply to the Rays as well. These teams built up some of the goodwill with their fans when they were winning. Been a while for the Rockies, but they were a winner or a competitive. Not in ancient history. It went to a World Series 15 years ago. Ish. Maybe a little bit more than that. So they build up some goodwill. That goodwill will diminish as we go forward. And it's hard. I want to be a free market kind of guy, and I get your point, JB. But are you okay with if this was the Orioles, you'd be okay with that? The team saying, "Look, we're in business to make money. We cleared $200 million. If we win, we win. If we don't, I don't think as a fan you're going to buy that for long." This is a fun one. I should get back to work. I should get back to work too. Oh, I don't work anymore. God bless you. Always pop in, Isaiah. Get me wanting to dust off my Yeti. Please pop in it more often, Isaiah. I love your input. You're the best, man. One of the best. I'm sorry. You guys are all the best. Again, gross earnings isn't the net profit. Of course, I get that. They're never going to open their books, Jeremy. Oh, Wander Franco. I should have figured that out. You got to spell things out for me, man. I'm 66 years old. Thank you. I was trying to think of the guy's name. I thought that's where you might be going, and for whatever the name wasn't popping in my head. Thank you, Wander Franco. Did set that team back 100%. Not a good, I hate saying this. There's some names I don't say either, so I get it. The USA did score at the break. Good. Thanks, Jeremy, for that update. I've been trying to keep an eye there, and I couldn't see it. They kept going to commercial. I'm talking about keeping the Rays in Florida. Well, listen, the Marlins don't draw that great either, so maybe Florida doesn't deserve baseball. $32 million for Skubal, $38 for Valdez. That's, by the way, it's an insult to Skubal. They can't sign him long term, but they signed Valdez to a longer term contract for $38 million. This year went under arbitration over last year of team control. You may see him gone at the deadline. I figured Boros was his agent. I just wanted somebody else to say the name. I'd rather be like Gloria Estefan of Miami, owns 5% of every sports franchise there. No decision making, makes 5% off their pro teams. That's a pretty good deal, right? JB, see you Sunday, my friend. Great job today. You guys all brought it today. Good stuff, as always. I'll be back on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. I'm glad to hear from you, JB, Carlos, Isaiah, Jeremy, Rick. Who did I miss? I know I missed somebody. Don't take offense, please. We'll see you on Sunday. Share, like, and share the show, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.